Well, welcome to this week's episode of Inside Us, Inside Me, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. It's free flowing. I have a very special guest in today, a very funny person. Invited him on, had no problem coming on out, and I want to thank you again, but Mr. Tyler Deese.
Yeah. Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that drive, I know that drive's annoying, so when anybody's willing to track that, especially for an hour-long podcast on a small setup like mine, I appreciate it. It's been big fun.
Well, I my thing is, if we're not going to do it for each other, then who the hell's going to?
Exactly, right? And like I've had so many people like fall through to, they're like, oh, I want to make it out. And then like as soon as there's one road bump, it's just like, they start like backpedaling and stuff. So it's annoying.
That's
schedule-wise.
That's it specifically why I came today. Is because we had a roadblock the last time we tried to do this.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I can't be that person.
Yeah. And it's all right because it happens. I understand life happens. What the hell were we just talking about? Oh, my nose. Yeah. But
we were.
So we were talking about breathing before we kind of went live here, but if you guys hear excessive breathing, that's me, I promise. So I want to ask, how long have you been doing comedy? Because I have to say you're very funny. There are very few times that I've like seen you and haven't like damn near like came to tears, and I'm not trying to gas you up or anything, right? Like
it's okay, gas me up as much as you would like to. That's I can use as many compliments.
Yeah. I'm very self-deprecating too. So when people are like, "You're so good," I'm like, "Oh, tell me more, please." No, but how long have you been doing comedy? And
let's see. I think I was doing the math recently. I should be right at 7 years doing stand up right now.
Yeah.
So and like basically coming up right now, it should be 7 to 8 because
it's the in between.
I remember specifically I was out at a bar having dinner on my birthday.
Okay.
And realized that there was a comedy club in Wilmington.
And then
I was like, oh, cool. And I went to the open mic the next week.
Oh, shit.
So
wow. Yeah, so that's different from mine. Like I was like prepping and planning. I was nervous as fuck. Were you nervous your first time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm nervous every time. I'm nervous most of the time in general. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Do you have anxiety?
Oh, yeah.
Like crippling? Like are you a freezer or are you like a
yes.
Okay.
I have enough anxiety that I had to talk to somebody about it and for them to be like, yeah, that's a thing that you just live with.
There's getting nervousness, and then there's like 4 levels of where you are.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So I'm like, I just started seeing a therapist, and you don't realize how like fucked up you are until like people are like, whoa, this is textbook this and this, and you're like, all right, man, hold on, this is because they're essentially just like they're just like expounding on all these issues that you've like put like repressed almost, that gets kind of revisited.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I've been living my life so wrong.
Right. I always think this is funny. Did you do the thing in your life where you started telling stories to people that you thought were like funny stories?
Yep. And then it's more of an awe factor to people.
Yeah. And you get it out and then they respond and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like, I might have normalized something.
That's happening. So it's actually funny you say that. That was part of the reason I got into comedy, because people were like, because I was always able to, I'm a very silly dude. And like the way I would tell stories, I would take, comedic liberties, or like I would kind of bolster the stories up. They weren't necessarily like the idea of the story and like the events that happened were very true, but like the way I was describing people and how they were looking and like just my overall description of a story is kind of, I think, what led me into comedy eventually.
Yeah.
So you started about 7 or 8 years ago. Do you remember one of your first jokes or like one of your first sets? Because you know, like when you start out, right? Like you run that set for a little bit, at least a couple of weeks. Like I know with my first 2 sets, I had like one joke that was like consistent between the both of them, but then I tried writing new stuff and just ate dicks my second time. Like my first time, I got some giggles and then it went straight to my head. And I was like, I am meant for this.
Yeah.
And then ate shit at Dead Crow the next time.
That's good. That's nice. No, I think the only joke that I remember from my first set, I never did it again. And I don't even remember how I worded it, but basically the premise was I had gone like out on a hike the week before. And that was something that I would do like at that time, is I would just kind of disappear for a day or so.
That's some real white people shit.
Like and just go somewhere. And I got like red bugs.
Yeah.
Is what I got. But I got them in 2 like very funny places, I thought, because they were on my thighs. And so when I finally noticed them and they swelled up, I made this joke basically that I was like, oh, it looks like Squidward is living in my crotch. That's so good. That's good. And people laughed.
Yeah,
it was an awful joke.
Yeah,
It's, but for some reason, that's the only one that has lived in my head. Since then is the me making a joke about having red bugs on my thighs.
One of my first jokes was the premise was that Alfred was the creepy one between Batman. So like the butler, and I'm like, you guys don't understand. There's no pun. Hold on, let me preface this too, because I've played it on the podcast. The night at so I recorded a podcast like probably the day after or whatever, and I was trying to ensue that like Alfred was this creepy like panty sniffing dude for Batman, but like just didn't. And that he also, and then I was like also like trying to assimilate that with like pedophilia with Robin. And it just didn't work. It fell flat. It was, and there was like no punchline. I was just saying things, right? Like there was no hook. There was nothing. And it's funny looking back on it now, because like the way I work premises now, I'll bring it on stage or whatever. And then whatever parts get a laugh, that's what I try and write on. But I never returned to that joke. Yeah. Like I've dropped it since. I'm like, I don't even know what I was trying to get at here. It was 100% a like bag of shit.
Yeah, because Alfred's not like Alfred is
the most caring person.
Yeah, Alfred's just the most human character that has ever existed.
Yeah.
In any comic book.
Yeah.
No other, like, he's like the Samwise Gamgee of that, like.
Yeah, 100%. He's the only, like, statue in his morals.
Yeah.
That just is constant. He stays there, and he helps him out, and, like.
Yep.
I'm a giant, so I have a giant tattoo of Batman on my back. Like, I have comic books all over the set. And
how giant is your giant tattoo of?
Like, if I were to push this.
Uh-huh.
So, like, it's the whole bat symbol right here.
Oh.
I have Superman, Batman. Superman, Batman, Harley Quinn, Joker, and Bizarro. And I'm going to get Justice League down this side. And then I want to do the Legion of Doom on this side.
That is so cool.
When I eventually make enough money to spend it on my body.
Yeah.
Because right now, my body's just making me money. A zing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
So, comedy for 7 years, and like, so I'm on a year and a half. September of 21 is when I started, and it sucks for me because the job I currently work still sends me away. So realistically, as far as like writing, sure, I've been a year and a half like really putting energy into comedy. But like as far as stage time, I didn't realize how much like rust can kind of build up when you're away. So getting back, I had felt all of those same nerves. Do you feel at any point? And I guess I'm only prefacing it with this because like I'm not even at 2 years yet, and I'm looking at you who at like 7 or 8 years in. The leaps and bounds I've made in comedy just within my own writing process, and like how I'm seeing things within 2 years is insane. So I can't even imagine. Do you like look back at yourself like from year one and like look now and like your writing process and how you deliver your comedy? Is it just like 100% different? Was there any like crazy change that you made that you felt was like necessary or like?
Yes and no at the same time. So I feel like I obviously have seen major differences in the way that I write jokes and that I write different bits. And how I play them on stage has definitely changed since then. But it always feels like it's just a refinement of what I was trying to do at the start.
Yeah.
Like even the dumb like Squidward penis joke. The reason that I dropped it is because it was a penis joke. But the reason I wrote it is because of the absurdity of it.
Yeah.
Sort of
just
thing.
the overall silliness of the
just and that's something that I latched onto at the start that I have felt like I needed to keep through the whole thing, because that's what makes it fun for
you.
me.
Yeah, and if you're not having fun, that shit doesn't.
Yeah.
There's been times where like I've tried to make stuff work, because I think very silly too. Like I'm always I don't know, like if I were to relate my thought process to like tattooing or anything like that, like there's American traditional, like the one-liners, right? I feel like I'm very cartoonish when I think of my writing process. Like everything is very upbolstered or like what's the word I'm looking for?
No, I get the concept of cartoonish where it's a caricature.
Yeah.
Of it's
the event that you're describing,
right.
Like
it is
you're
a story, but it's a story that you've tacked on these little bits.
Yes.
Like that's I get that. I feel like that's where my writing comes from as well. I'm a huge cartoon fan. Raised on television sort of kid, and now
my mom was an addict and I never met my dad, so like that TV raised me.
And now I've got kids, and like I never grew out of the cartoon phase, and now it's like if we're going to watch television together, then it's cartoons. And so that is I understand what you're saying with that, as far as it's maybe not absurdity. It's just cartoonish. It's just like, let's exaggerate it. Let's put just a little bit of flair on it. But let's also make it true and honest. Like
when we dismount this, let's do 3 backflips.
Right.
Just because we can. You know? That's that's where it feels like
and it's fun. From. It lets you be dark.
Yes.
Too. It does. It lets you be honest.
And it's the reason I think so many sketch shows work too, because you understand that it's a sketch show, right? Like SNL or Key and Peele, a lot of them wouldn't get away with such crazy ideas. Like if you look at Chappelle's Show, like I was just watching it the other night. They did I completely forgot about this sketch, but like the Chappelle Show did like To Catch a Predator or whatever. And that the Jedis were like sexually abusing the fucking Padawans.
Right.
And I completely forgot about that sketch. And I'm like, this is fucking hilarious. Like, it's insane because it's so over the top that like I forgot how, because everybody just remembers from Chappelle's Show. It's like Rick James, the racial draft, like the big wicked items. But there are so many small bangers within that whole show, and it's only 2 seasons. Sucks, but I'm exactly the same way. Like my son and my daughter both love cartoons, and like I just try and find cartoons that I can stand and they can stand together. Because like my daughter, she's big on like Elena right now in the Disney princess.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not all the way invested in that, but like I try and get her into some of the DC cartoons where it's like, this has Harley Quinn, like you might like her.
Yeah.
And she's got real daddy issues too, so get out. Go.
No.
Oh no.
Okay, go up on the couch. No. And she got in trouble. That's
Sorry,
impossible.
we're having canine difficulties. What would you say some of your favorite cartoons were growing up?
Oh, some of my favorites growing up. I was a big Ed and Eddie kid. I liked Ed and Eddie. I grew up like just kind of Southern, and Ed and Eddie was one of those shows where you kind of got just rural vibes from it.
Yep.
Like it wasn't. There's just a lot of there were a lot of suburb cartoons when we were growing up.
Yep.
And I didn't necessarily grow up in a suburby type of place.
Come on.
You know?
Go.
So
both of you. Sorry. Get out. Go.
That's all right. Say it. Got it. Go.
My first time too, keeping the door open, I was like, maybe they won't be annoying this time. And boy, was I wrong. Yeah, like Ed and Eddie kind of captured both because like it was what I really loved about Ed and Eddie was like them really working for the quarter so they could get the jawbreakers.
Yeah.
Because that was like the struggle as a kid. Like if you ever had $1, you were like, what the fuck am I going to spend this on? Because you knew it was very few and far between. Like you were getting money yourself that you could like, I'm going to make the decision to buy a fucking jawbreaker.
Yeah.
And they were cokeheads after those jawbreakers.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That shit was fat. I wanted a jawbreaker that big so bad.
Yeah.
Like half the size of me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that was the other thing is it was just such a visually pleasing cartoon to watch.
Yeah.
Like everything about it was
Well, that whole era of cartoons, because if you really think about it, that was like the transition into cartoons that really kind of represented the generation, I would say. Because like the only ones you really had before that were Scooby-Doo, like Voltron, but it was all like they had already been on for the whole decade, if not 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of those shows were already there. So like,
yeah.
It was like the introduction, like Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, fucking Ed and Eddie, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you go to Nickelodeon, they had Cat Dog, they had all the Team Rocket.
Yeah.
Or is that Rocket Power?
Rocket Power. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was the time where I think Cartoon Network was like, we're going to turn this shit up. And then,
no, Cartoon Network was on
that
top
was my
of it
shit. Yeah.
during that time. Like I loved Cat Dog and I really liked Rocket Power, but I'm not gonna lie, when I came home the first thing I cut on was always Cartoon Network.
Had to check. Was it channel 33 for you or 32?
No, we had channel 52 where I was at.
Yeah.
So,
in some places for us, like it depended on which provider you had, it would be 32 or like 52 or 53, something like that. It was like it was either before the TBS, TNT channels, or it was after, like right before MTV.
I feel like we had the best cable setup because ours was Cartoon Network, Comedy Central, right next to one another. You just click.
You didn't have to hit return.
And down, just
and
up
fucking
and
flip
down.
it back.
You could choose what you were watching.
Yeah, these kids are fucking spoiled these days. They don't even know. They don't know the fucking struggles. I try and tell them that shit all the time too. I'm like, yo, you used to have a landline, and you would rotary phone that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just touch the screen? I'm like, that's the problem, man. There weren't any screens, man. There weren't any screens, man. It was
no
just
screens.
Very textile things. Like when you click something, if the click didn't move, you didn't push the button. Like you could get food under shit.
We went to my hometown for Thanksgiving this year, and while we were there, I was like, of course, collecting things. You know, you do that sort of thing when you go and visit family.
Yeah.
And so they were like, look, we got this box. You need to go through it and take what you want. We're going to throw away the rest of it. And of course, like, it's always fun because you go through it and you're like, there's so much of this that is just trash that you guys have held on to because you love
We're
me.
hoarders.
Like, it's, no, it's, and it is, it's this thing where it's like, you might like this thing because you used to like this thing, but we stumbled upon all of my and my brother's Game Boy gear. And specifically our Game Boy Advances, and we had Game Boy. Oh, what were they? They were
SP.
The
Flip open
one. Yes, the SP. So before they came out with the DS sort of thing. And my kid was so excited. My 9-year-old was like, "Oh, this is cool," because I had like Pokemon Blue and Red, like from '96 sort of thing.
Yeah,
and he was like, "I've never played these," and I was like, "Yeah, super fun. Go ahead and play them." But he fired up the Advance and realized that it doesn't have backlight.
Yeah, so he's like, "How the fuck are you supposed to see in this thing?"
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing that we had to deal with, where they made screens that didn't have
light up.
Light.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that works.
It's funny that you say that. So for like I did the holiday show last night with Tim, and Thursday I wrote this shit, but I was explaining the same thing, because so last year for Christmas I bought my son a Game Boy SP, and the bit kind of gets stomped. Like the whole thing is that me buying it for him, it kind of gets stomped on because my mother-in-law buys him something else that's like a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
The same Christmas.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
with like the Switch on the same Christmas.
Oh wow, have you seen my? No, I'm just kidding. That's exactly what happened, right? So I was like, the fucking punchline. I'm like, that's it's going from paperback porn and then like finding LimeWire. It's like you're not going back. Like there's no, and like I went in like a whole part of the bit is like me describing like that squiggly light for the Game Boy Color that like would only cover half your screen.
Yeah, the worm light. Yeah.
And then like having to finagle that, but then sometimes it wouldn't bend or it would break off, and just kind of going through like some of the experiences of the Game Boy Color, because I grew up on the Color, and then I never got the SP. The next like thing I got, so I had a green, like the neon green Game Boy Color, and then the next thing I ever got was the PSP. So like I had went straight to Varsity, right after. It was like small discs, whatever. But yeah, like I remember the Game Boy Advance coming out and like the speakers being louder. It introduced triggers, but then the SP came out and it was like, you guys remember that fucking boo-boo model we put out last year?
It was.
We got the fucking SP and it's done right. Like
they were like, "Hey, look, we made this thing a different shape and we put a light in it.
Yeah.
Isn't it better?"
Yeah. And do you want a game system?
Like, yeah, absolutely, it is. Thank you so.
Do you want a game system that you can play on and your baby sister can also think is a cell phone?
Yeah.
Because those were just coming out.
It's so annoying too, because it was the better console, but it was the worst shaped of the two.
Because it was a brick.
Yeah, that like the Game Boy Advance shape is such an iconic like thing.
Yep.
That whole just like
you could see a silhouette of that.
Layering out of Game Boy across the front of it. You're just
it looks like a set of pit vipers right now. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, right now, if somebody gave me something that was shaped like that, I'd be like, "Oh, I'll play this for another 175 hours."
Yeah.
Like 100%. Just put a light in it. Just
that's all we need. Just a backlight.
Why did we shift straight to it's a little laptop? Like
that's true.
What happened there?
You know what happened? I like to think that Nintendo, like, they had bolstered all these ideas together, and when they were making the Advanced, the dude who had the backlight and the flip-up screen and the non-battery but charge pack just didn't show up to the meeting that day. And then when they when they reconciled and they were all like, "All right, everybody good, break." Everybody went back to their like respective stations. And then he's showing up like with papers.
It's like,
wait.
Guys, no.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You'll have to save it until next year's meeting."
Yeah. Greg, we said 4:30 for this meeting, and he's like, "But I was just," and he's like, got glasses, and he's pushing his glasses up. He's like, I have the schematics for the light and the charger. I think I've solved the problem." And they're like, yeah, that's gonna have to wait.
No, absolutely not.
Plus, we still have this deal with fucking Duracell, bitch. Like
we've had this conversation 3 times now. If you don't show up to the meeting, we can't use your ideas, no matter how good they are.
Yeah. Some people say he's actually still working, and he created the Switch, so he's still working at Nintendo. They promoted the man.
What cartoons do your kids enjoy right now?
Oh, it's a wide variety. Okay. As far as cartoons that that they'll watch probably for the rest of their lives. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
We did that one a couple of years ago. Solid move.
My son is,
yes.
and not to be, he is underage, but he is balls deep in that right now. He watches Legend of Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender. He loves Aang. I honestly, like, hands down, that's one of the coolest shows because it drops some wisdom bombs in there. Uncle Iroh, that motherfucker be in there like, a clenched fist can hurt itself if it doesn't let go of the rope that's, wrapped around its wrist. And you're like, oh my God, air me out, son. Holy shit. So he's good. Like, dark tea, or you shouldn't judge a tea kettle by the content or the contents of its insides, but the purity of its tea. And it's like, God damn, he's fucking firebending some words into my face. But they're big on that right now. I'm convinced my son will get like Avatar tattoos.
Oh yeah.
When he grows up, with some glow in the dark ink. But and then my daughter's, she's not really the big fan of like pop cultural things. Yeah. She's into Disney and stuff, and like if she's forced to kind of sit and watch something, she will. But she's always out roller skating and shit like that. But for her, it's like Elena, Elsa. She likes the show Sam and Cat. They're like the runoff of what was that show?
That one was Why Am I? Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? The one where the Victorious.
No, it's not Victorious. It's iCarly, right? Sam and Cat is with Sam from.
That's right.
iCarly.
Yeah. Okay.
She just came out with a really
Jeanette
cool
McCarthy,
book.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. She got really skinny.
Ariana Grande and. That's what? What do you mean?
She got like really like thin, like it almost doesn't look.
Oh, I don't know. That's a gross
healthily.
Conversation.
Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry.
It's just because my mom had cancer, so like when I see like people shed weight like that, like for me, I think health issues, not necessarily like aesthetic. I don't give a fuck about that.
No.
As long as they're,
but that's a thing too. We always attribute that concept. To, we feel like people have to be like whatever they are at any given time to decide whether or not they're healthy.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but so she'll watch those, which I think is really going to be the precursor for her watching reality shows, which I'm really trying to prolong as long as I can.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen. I think reality TV has been like the slow escape like of our generation. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the Jersey Shore really sucks. I'm always attributed to it because I'm from Jersey. And it sucks. But like the real world, all those like reality TV shows, I think when it comes to those shows, it's more of like reactionary. So like now people who shouldn't necessarily verbalize their opinions or like their reactions on a show do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. The concept that, I mean, that's just sort of a thing that proliferates like media right now is the shock value always does better. Mm-hmm. That's just sort of the way that it works. And since the way that like media and creativity is allowed to exist where we are is through monetizing it. Yep. You have to engage with that shock value concept. Yep. But I don't know. I feel like I think that that's the problem with reality television. Yeah. Like I'm a big person that anytime we're going to talk about what the problem is capitalism.
It's true.
It's just
you can always follow the money and it's going to be like,
because people, the concept of people wanting to engage with media that is realistic in spurts and it becoming like a thing that the community focuses on and becomes very popular is normal. That happens with society. We do this like bounce back between wanting the grandiose and wanting what's real.
What's real.
Like that's sort of the snapback. You can watch that where the bloom of reality television and its popularity sort of starts to fade out and bleed into the bloom of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where we went from reality television era to Marvel
100%.
era.
Yeah.
Like just in the way that we wanted to be entertained. So,
yeah.
And even now Marvel's having to snap back because we're past that sort of period where we want that much of it. And you're seeing a lot more things become popular like She-Hulk, where we take a character and put them into a real world sort of setting, and we make it kind of a procedural crime drama.
Yeah.
Because that's what people want right now. Yes.
People were hating on that show. I thought like the whole third wall break, like the callback to like the 90s shows and like you guys think that, like I thought that was very fun.
Yeah.
I haven't finished the whole show yet, but I'm a dork and I watch a lot of I watch this guy named Emergency Awesome, a lot of his videos, and he just breaks down, like he'll do spoiler breakdowns of like videos and stuff. And it's usually the way I catch back up because I don't have that much time to sit and watch 40-minute
you get into
episodes.
Like that 30 area and you're like, listen, I love this stuff, but you've got to give it to me in a more digestible manner.
Yeah.
It's like, I would love to have an hour to sit down and watch this, but I don't. If you could tell me what happened in like 10 minutes.
In a 10-minute video.
I'd love it too.
I love the meat and potatoes.
Okay.
Because and that's the thing, right? Like, because I'm such a fucking comic book fan, and anytime like one of the big movies comes out, but there's just too much for me to keep up with now. Because I used to be, and I say I used to be, but like I used to be a very big diehard Star Wars fan, and now I'm like slowly slipping from that because they got fucking Andor, Obi-Wan, fucking the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I think when they take on too much, it obviously the quality is gonna kind of drop a little bit. Like I think the last 4 or 5 Marvel movies really weren't even that good. It's just like cookie cutter at this point. Like they kind of took the mold because like Thor Ragnarok had a mix of serious with comedic breaks, and like then they just took that mold and just applied it to every single. There's no like serious moments anymore. Like the whole reason Endgame was so big was because there were so many like crazy moments leading up to that. And I feel like they're adding too much comedy to the comics, to the comic book movies now. Like in my eyes, the new Batman movie, I don't know if you saw it, is fucking deliciously good. Yeah. It gives you everything. Great fight scenes, awesome acting between Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell's Penguin. You get a Batmobile scene, you get fucking cool dialogue, they build a story arc, and then they like if they didn't make another, the movie would be fine. Like they don't need to make another. They're going to because Matt Reeves, they've already like I guess signed contracts. I don't know. I'm not in fucking Hollywood, but like it had some comedy. Like the scene, there's a scene where he starts up the fucking Batmobile, and he had just put it together, and he stalls it right before the fucking Batmobile like chase scene happens, and it's such a good like it's a funny comedic relief that like he just put this together. He's year 2 Batman. He hasn't driven this fucking thing yet,
right? But
to get it there,
right?
And so he stalls it, and it's just such a good. It's very subtle.
No, but that's that's a very real like
thing to happen, and it just happens to be funny.
And I feel like we're making that like snap back right now, and that's why Marvel is struggling so much. And everybody has given DC so much grief for the way that they've chosen to make movies through this past decade. Yeah, but they forget that the reason that they got into DC and were really excited about it was because of Christian Bale as Batman. Yeah. In a trilogy that went from trying to figure out how not to be Tim Burton to realizing that it was something completely different.
Yeah.
That it was sort of a grim, dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Of superhero.
Yeah.
And we loved it.
Yeah.
We loved it
Hands
at that
down.
time.
I don't know about the third one. I'm not talking shit. I love Tom Hardy as as Bane, but like that third one, I'm not saying I could take it or leave it. It wasn't.
I think that I don't know. I like the third one.
Okay.
I watched The Dark Knight and I watched the third one multiple times over, despite the fact that they were way too long.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed them, and I enjoyed them. I think specifically because of what we were talking about. Like, it was at that time what I wanted, and I never got into the Marvel franchise a whole lot because honestly, I liked Sam Raimi Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted more of X-Men and
There's talks
X2,
of Sam
and I
Raimi.
wanted more Spider-Man that came from that time.
They're looking at making a number 4.
And I think that makes sense because it's time for people to enjoy that again. Yeah. I feel like, honestly, if people would have been served Justice League and Batman versus Superman 2 years from now, that it would have been a major hit. Yeah. Because I think that's where we're at now. Yeah. Is we're back in the people don't want to see that whole concept of like superheroes get to destroy a city and there's no repercussions from it. Yeah. They don't want to see 25 high paid actors on a screen at one time. Yeah. All fighting for space. Yeah. Like it's not fun.
Yeah, I never even thought about that too, like kind of watching them.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. Think about all of these people that are feature actors that lead in movies all year long. Yep. And they're like, look, we need you for roughly 20 minutes of film that we're going to trim down to about 12
minutes. Yeah.
And you also have your celebrity that you have to convey in that moment. You don't get to be small. Yeah. Because you're a lead actor. Yeah. You're being booked for this role and you have to be big. It's kind of exhausting. Yeah. It is. They're great and they all deserve their own space. And I would throw away every Avengers movie for more of the just singular comic. Yeah. Okay. Concept. Yeah. I would trade them all for, I mean, even Iron Man was goofy, but people fucking loved Iron Man.
That movie ripped.
Iron Man was goofy and it was great. Yeah. It knew exactly what it was and it did what it wanted to the whole time. Like, it's just.
It was Jon Favreau too. Yeah. Who was a fucking, I've only backed that man since, I didn't know he directed that until probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. But, yeah, and like his work on The Mandalorian, just kind of anything he touches is like,
I'm a big fan.
It's going to be cinematically
his Chef
strong.
Series on
Netflix
too. That's really
so good. Anything he touches is just fucking so good. Yeah, and I feel the same too because my problem with DC is that they tried doing and mirroring Marvel too soon. If they had done Zack Snyder's Justice League kind of at this point now, because like if they think, and I don't think they did, by the time 2017 was rolling around, 2016 was when they really started hammering down on the DC extended universe. They released the Wonder Woman movie, and so they did a good job with just like pinky toe in the water, Batman versus Superman. To me, Man of Steel was like creme de la creme. It had everything you wanted. It's what you wanted to see in a Superman movie.
I think Man of Steel is the aesthetic they should have just stuck with. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was both, right? Like it was grandeur, but it was very real and it was based. Like Lawrence Fishburne, you really thought that he was a fucking editor, and like the whole world had like very real world complexities and like
it moved together.
It worked.
Yeah.
And they fucked Zack Snyder over with a lot of it because I think his whole plan was the 3 movie deal where he was going to do something similar. It was going to be an expedited end game, essentially.
Yeah.
And then I think his daughter died or something like that, so he had to like stop filming. If they had waited until the 10-year mark to hit this, because now you have like Ezra Miller, like the Flash movie I'm super excited about. This movie's now been pushed back. It was supposed to be out in November. It's gotten pushed back to the summer because Ezra Miller's fucking up and beating people up in Hawaii, getting charged with shit.
Because Ezra Miller is a bad person.
Yeah, because he is just too fast.
Yeah, and I believe they are a bad person. They're not nice, and they do bad things.
Yeah.
Do
you think? And I guess I'm kind of gonna answer my own question here, but like, do you think he's always been that way, and it's now just kind of exacerbated because of fame, or do you think he's only kind of doing this because he feels so solid within the like companies, and because Warner Brothers has him by the nuts. He's in the Harry Potter franchise now. He's also in DC. So like Warner Brothers is like the umbrella over both of those. So I don't know if it's like he feels very secure in his contract with Warner Brothers and he's just pulling an Aaron Carter in the fucking early 2000s. R.I.P.
Scary, yeah. No, I don't know. It's hard to speak on stuff like that. It's
I guess.
Just they're definitely a person that I see in the community, and it's, I don't know. There's just people that are bad.
Yeah.
Like, and it might be that it's the fame thing.
Yeah.
It might be the comfort, but even if it is, then it always feels like that had to have been something that existed in their mind.
Yeah, because when I look now, like I see, I don't know if you watch podcasts often or at all, but John Berthenol, he played the Punisher in the Marvel Netflix runs. He's got a podcast out, and he had like Shia LaBeouf on, and like I don't know if you've even been on Instagram, but like a lot of the reels will cover the conversation that they had, and I'm getting very like prima donna Shia LaBeouf Day vibes from Ezra. Like it's like lashing out, and I'm only pissed because the Flash is like one of my favorite characters. Yeah. And I really want this fucking movie to come out. And it's like, dude, will you just quit fucking up?
Yeah.
You know, because I loved him in the Justice League. I loved him. And I was like really excited to see like his updated version. They got Michael Keaton coming back in the fucking movie. It's going to be sick. And I'm pissed because it's like, yo, can you have your temper tantrum like after the release of this movie? Just like you let fucking Dumbledore come out, and now you're gonna start fucking up when the Flash is supposed to come out. Motherfucker.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course that's I feel like that's fitting that he was more willing to get the TERFs franchise rolling. I think that's sort of where I'm landing on that. I just feel like it's just a bad look, and especially for like, I mean, they're supposed to be like sort of at like they present themselves as like a model for the queer community,
okay,
as well. Like just sort of they're one of those people that you're like,
you don't need their opinion, but they try and speak up for the fucking community.
Well, no, as far as I know, like Ezra's pretty like non-binary in general, as far as I've seen. If I'm not mistaken, Ezra is like pretty well known.
I'm pretty sure he's a they them.
And
Julie, and so honestly, correct me too, because I'm very ignorant to this shit too. Are you a they them?
Yes.
Okay, so my bad at the fucking beginning of this.
It's okay.
Because I remember I had a brief conversation with Julia, and I think she had referred to you as they, them. And it wasn't until literally we just spoke about this now that I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I just fucked that up.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and I'm trying to like, because I'm not one of the, I guess I think I'm part of the general populace because like I do think there are people that do it for the clout, but then there are also people who are like, listen, you fucked up. It's not even really a fuck up, but I'm they them. I'd prefer this, right? Like that's you know, and yeah. Sorry, so continue.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I Ezra is one of those people that I think you see them in the media and you're just like, oh, you're misrepresenting a whole
large
community.
large group.
You're 100%, and it's I've not gotten into the Flash specifically because of Ezra Miller, like 100%.
So he's kind of repelled you from it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because he's misspeaking. I would say not necessarily disenfranchised, because that would mean like you're accepting him as a proponent of the community, but like, are you like?
I think
it's just the shit that he says as an individual that's really pissing you off.
I think that it's when there's this thing that when you become a celebrity and you're a member of a group that's an outside group that
they feel compelled to say something.
No, it's that I feel like the behavior that they engage in is reflective on the community in a way that maybe they don't realize or that they don't care about, and it doesn't matter which answer is there for that. It's just wrong.
Okay.
Because there's very little representation, and when the representation that you see is that, and it's just
they
like
get in trouble for this and that. It sheds a negative light.
Right.
And it's like kind of backing.
It's not even even that they're doing it. It's not that they're doing it out of
maliciousness or anything like that.
The actions have to be malicious. It's something about the concept that you get mad at people who don't feel like they have to behave in public the same way that you do. You get mad at people who feel like it's okay for them to go out and act like that and do things like that. Mm-hmm. And when they kind of look like you and you don't see a lot of people that look like you in media, to me, it makes me viscerally angry.
Yeah. I feel like there's not enough white people representing me.
But no, it's that concept. It's that if they're gonna engage and like be a member of the queer community and then go out and act like
a fucking asshole,
and act.
That's
like,
what it is. It's you're just fucking. They're acting like an asshole.
And no, it is. It's acting like. And it's shitty to say it like this, but it's acting like an entitled white dude. Yeah. And then turning around and presenting yourself.
Yeah. And I was going to follow that up with like, you can kind of feel that some people are genuine about it. And like, some people you can tell just kind of do it for the clout because it is a fucking thing to kind of punch in on.
Yeah. And I don't even know if it's that. Like 100%. I don't, because I don't think that there's a whole lot of benefit to, like, there's perceived benefit as far as living your life out and living your life queer, non-binary. There's perceived benefit, but that doesn't actually exist. Yeah. Like, it is something that when you're living that way, you experience the pressures of it. Okay. And so I don't think that it's clout. Okay. I just think that they're not a good person. They're
like at the core.
Yes.
It's just
their
not
behavior reflects that. And I'm more judgmental of it because
it's the same shit with Kanye going on right now. Like the black community is so pissed at him because he's saying all this wild shit when it's just like, we knew this back in 2018 when he was saying wild shit. Yeah. He just happened to make really good music. And I think what's happening now is that like he just hasn't really put any fucking good music out lately. So like there's nothing to really like upholster him to that. So now he's just saying wild shit for the past year and a half, you know?
Yeah.
So there's nothing for him to like kind of rebound off of. He just went through a nasty divorce and whatever, but I don't even know if it's nasty. I don't know why I gave it an adjective, but
no, but he fell off and he's not reacting to it.
Yeah.
Though.
No. I just saw a post. It was like he went from partying with Jay-Z and like people at the club. Now he's eating hibachi in the suburbs. And like somebody had taken a picture with him. And he's got those big dumb boots on and shit. I love those boots though. Those boots are so crazy. But yeah, I get like it just turns out that, hey, Kanye is an asshole. Like that's what it is. Like some of these people, they're assholes at the core and they just happen to have a limelight on their assholey shit.
Yeah. It's just that,
which is a pun, I
guess. And it doubles back to what we were talking about as far as like shock gets, like, and
Views.
Kanye knows that. Kanye knows that better than anybody.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's that sort of thing.
It's the monetization, like the whole. You remember the early 2010s? Where like it was just about views. People were taking to the fucking streets. The Logan Paul days, like the fucking, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. And like today we're gonna be fucking pantsing strangers on the fucking sidewalk in New York. And it's like, oh my god, I got stabbed. Like, what did you fucking think? With like, it's when the content meets reality. That's kind of where I think a lot of celebrities in those predicaments right now. And if you notice, a lot of them are the ones that backtrack and like apologize. And it's like, well, if you weren't doing assholey shit, you wouldn't feel the need to apologize. So the fact that you're like on the back end feeling as if you have to apologize, that's where you're wrong. Like anything, I'm a big proponent of like the Joe Rogan podcast. And like, if you notice a lot of the stuff, like if he makes a genuine mistake, he'll apologize for it, like in the context of it, but he's not necessarily, sorry for the words that were said. It was the context in which it was maybe brought. Am I triggering you a little bit?
No. Okay. I think what you're describing is gaslighting.
Oh, is that it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is that the definition of gaslighting?
I mean, it's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the concept that like we don't recognize that those two things are the same thing.
Okay.
That
So you're saying context and what you're like verbally saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are two halves of the same whole.
True.
And when we get into apologizing, if we're going to apologize for things, then we have to accept that we were wrong.
Wrong for saying
apologies are an admittance of wrongdoing. They're not if you're saying I'm sorry, but then you're not saying I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
That's it.
I learned that in therapy.
That's good.
So, because I've actually never really looked up the definition for gaslighting. So I've just always heard the term. That's like when you're essentially apologizing, but then kind of just deflecting the blame to somewhere.
Yeah, gaslighting is it's not necessarily a hard to find thing. Mm-hmm. It's a concept. So the word gaslight literally means that, like, right now we've got all these lights on in this room and it's super bright and we can see everything. But if you cut all these lights off and you cut on an old timey gas lantern, then it would be flickering. There would be more shadows.
Okay.
It would be harder to make out what is actually going on in the room. So it's a concept.
Okay.
And so
you're essentially muddying the other facts around it.
Exactly. So when he's doing that, what he's engaging in is a way to shade what
was actually said. Yeah.
Instead of actually being apologetic, where being apologetic is shining a light on your
it's highlighting where you fucked up.
Right. Yeah. So the concept of if you're not doing that, if you're not shining a light on the issue, then you are gaslighting.
Gotcha.
So however that works into the situation, it's more of like, it's the same concept as, or not the same concept, but it's the same as like saying somebody's shady. You say that they're shady. There's not a set list of things that make
But
somebody
then you give that,
shady.
yeah. But then like you're like, I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing some shady
Right,
shit.
exactly.
Right now. Like,
And
you just know it's off.
Right.
Yeah.
Gaslighting is shady for men.
Gotcha.
Like it's confrontationally shady.
Yeah.
Shady is when you're having conversation and people are avoidant, but when you're confronting something and somebody is being shady, they are gaslighting.
Gotcha.
Those are the same.
Okay.
Like it's the same thing. So yeah, that like, and no, you're not going to catch me saying that Joe Rogan is fine.
Yeah.
Like 100%. That's just not my wheelhouse. And
Yeah.
no, when I definitely, when celebrities engage in that sort of apology,
Okay.
that's what I feel like it is.
Okay.
100%. It is a way to
use their stardom to kind of, I guess they don't need to bring like awareness to the subject, but by them apologizing, they feel like now, like, oh, because I've fucked up in this, now I want to shed light.
He knows he would lose viewers if he actually apologized.
Okay.
So he also knows that he might lose viewers for not apologizing.
Yeah.
But the higher risk as far as his demographic goes would be him coming out and flat out admitting that things that he says are transphobic and homophobic and that he says misogynist things. Yeah. Like if he came out and admitted that that's what those things were, then a lot of his viewership wouldn't engage.
Gotcha.
But there's a small amount of his viewership that wouldn't engage if he didn't apologize. And second off, the like next chess move there is when you engage in a gaslit apology, you get to carry that forward as like a reason for you to be upset with people who are upset with you.
Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying.
So that's why gaslighting works.
Yeah.
Is you
get to almost please both sides.
Yeah, you keep it vague enough so that you don't get in trouble.
Okay.
That's like anytime somebody's engaging in that sort of behavior where you're like, oh, you're trying to minimize the repercussions here. That's that's what that is. So.
And here I was thinking that the gaslight was just me being broke and not being able to fill up my car.
No, it's not.
I have a new definition for gaslight, and it is not on my Subaru WRX.
You have a new definition for gaslight, and it is that there's a loose definition for gaslight.
It is that it is contextually just like airbending. Like you are airbending words. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah. Because I do like the variety of guests that he brings on, and we don't have to stay on Joe Rogan, but like his variety of guests and I think he does make an attempt to appease both sides. I think when he has like who's that comedian that cross dresses over in the UK? I forget his name.
You talking about Eddie Izzard? Or
yes.
Are you talking? Okay.
Yes. Gotcha. Now is he trans or is he?
I would have to actually look that up. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think, as far as I know, Eddie Izzard is probably just non-binary.
Probably.
But it's sort of, those are muddy things.
Yeah,
too,
we're also gaslighting.
Trans and...
No, I'm just kidding.
But no, like, because trans and non-binary aren't mutually exclusive either. Sort of thing. Is there are people who are trans, non-binary. It's sort of a... those are two separate things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was going to say, as far as like the celebrities and like shining light on the community in certain aspects, like being in the military, that happens with us. Like everything is about our image and everything is about like how we look to the or how we're perceived by the public. So a lot of the things that we have to do day to day, like there are days like you can't walk and chew gum. You can't walk and talk on the cell phone. You can't, like, there's a lot of things that, the military itself puts rules on because it's perceived unprofessional. So like it's I find a similarity in that that whole subject in and of its own, because it's like, now that I'm doing comedy and like a lot of the things I have to do, I've even like stayed away from doing jokes about the military for a while, because I wanted to make sure it was sound joke writing and that it was like under the context that like I do not represent solely the military. I am, Nick Racioppi, I'm not coming on stage as a Marine. I'm coming on a stage as like myself.
Yeah.
And like trying to get that separation between myself and the military. So even on here, like I didn't, for the first, 2 years, I didn't even bring up that I was in the military, or like if I did, it would be like, I'm going on shmoyment soon. Like I would fucking dance around it, but never really engage with it solely.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I also, and especially with comedy, I don't know if you've seen like Vet TV or anything like that, but like, I just think the jokes surrounding the military are very rudimentary, and it's like all fucking hacky. It's all like regurgitated jokes, like Marines are crayon eaters and shit like that. And it's just not, I don't find it to be funny. Not saying that I have like this fucking imperialistic, like, this is not comedy, and like bouncing my toe as I look at some of these jokes, but like, I just don't find them that funny. Like it's, I guess hacky would be the word for a lot of the jokes. So like, I want to find a way where I can like make military jokes that would be away from that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I love the military. Military's given me a lot of opportunities, and it's shown me the fucking world. I've been to a lot of places, Africa, fucking Europe, Asia. So it's like, it's narrowed and widened my like perception of where we are, like on the, like just as humans. It's made me a lot more in touch with like a lot of the issues that we have in the United States are just issues in the United States. Like a lot of this shit does not happen elsewhere. And I think like making jokes surrounding those experiences, I think, is the way in. A lot of the jokes that they do, like the Vet TV skits, it's terrible. Like, are you a fan of the Office?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've watched.
So they tried doing a bit on that, and they called it like the recruiter's office or whatever. And maybe it's because I'm a hater, because I messaged them because I wanted to do some writing for them. I figured I could write some skits for them, so I hit them up on Instagram and stuff like that. Never got a reply or anything, but it turns out that like those motherfuckers wound up turning into like SNL. Like the dude who was running it was like just stealing material, firing dudes, like ruining people's lives.
Yeah.
On the promise that like, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then like you go to his Instagram and he's fucking living it up in Cabo with like, I'm sure is the money he's supposed to be paying his fucking employees with.
Yeah, of course.
Because he got out and he's a fucking scumbag. But, and I don't like that it's bolstered, like, because the whole reason they say Vet TV was made was like to bring awareness to like the 22 a day, the suicide awareness of veterans, and I don't like that that's the platform it was bolstered on.
Right.
And then for him to do all of those shitty things to the people that were like trying to wholeheartedly like jump into this like very like comedy is a very therapeutic thing.
Yeah.
Laughing is just good. So
yeah.
For him to bolster it, it pisses me. I don't like fucking Vet TV whatsoever. But
that is, I think that's a very funny response to it. It's like, people are killing themselves. We should make them laugh.
Yeah,
like that'll fix it. We'll put comedy.
Yeah,
we'll make comedy.
Have you done any shows like in Jacksonville or anything like that?
Not lately. It's been a while since I.
Because I know some of the Marines will come down to Wilmington and stuff like that, and those are always the best fucking crowds.
Yeah,
because like you can say the most fucked up shit, and like they're gonna be like, "No, I want more of that." Like, I want the throwing dead babies off roofs jokes. Like, you got any fucking abortion jokes? And you're like, "Well, hold on, let me get done with my rape joke first." I'm like, "All right," So What do you have, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I guess 10 years, I guess at the 10-year mark. Where do you see yourself in kind of in 3 years? Like, because I would say, look, outside looking in, and I guess you can correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like you're killing it. You know, I love your comedy. Every time I've seen you go up, especially at the open mics when you're working new stuff out, like, I'm always crying. And it's a good, like a good way. So like, do you see yourself touring soon? Do you see, like, are you trying to expand your reach? Because you go out to Raleigh every once in a while.
Yeah. I've been trying to do the like bar circuit.
Okay.
Right now, and I'm trying to get into more of like the feature circuit at this point. Which is kind of a weird transition. You kind of go through like little transitions as far as this goes.
So, at least in the Wilmington Comedy Scene, it's, you know, hosting, maybe producing your own show or like a fucking trivia night. Then you move to opening for people, or is that like?
Yeah, I mean, sort of the way that it's been with me. Yes, that's sort of the way that it went. Is it started out with open micing and then doing smaller shows and things like that, and producing some shows around town, but. At this point it's more of I've got my 20. I've got a couple of 20s at this point. Yeah. And so I'm just sort of trying to find a way to break into that where it's not like I'm doing opening spots and featuring spots at Dead Crow because it's my local club. But I'm trying to get more onto the point where I'm touring a bit more. And my partner and I are planning to move in the next year. Okay. And we're planning to move closer to a bigger city.
Where it's advantageous. Yeah. That makes sense.
So that's where I'm at. I'm to a point now where I like my material. I like the way that I write, and
it's time to take the next step.
Yeah, it's time to take the next step.
Yeah.
So yeah, ideally in 3 years, I'm the biggest comedian you've ever seen in your life.
Good.
That you're gonna be like, wow, he was on my couch.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
My casting couch.
But yeah, that's.
As he strokes the crushed pleather.
It's very nice.
No, man, those are big plans. Because like outside looking in, I would like to make it big in this business. Stand up. Like I don't have any. I don't see myself like acting or like anything of that nature. Like I wholesomely can say like I genuinely love doing stand up, and it's the best. I think it gives you the biggest highs, but it also gives you like the biggest, like if you eat a bag of dicks, like I drive home in silence for an hour and 10 minutes, like beating myself up. It's a pure adrenaline rush. Like when you crush a room, and like the biggest room I've done right now is Dead Crow at like half capacity. So I don't know, maybe 30 people depending on where everybody's sitting. So maybe a quarter of the room. So like, I know when I get those big pops in a room that's actually filled, I'm like, oh yeah, I am pretty good at this, ain't I? Yeah. You know, you kind of like, you know, because like their day, and I just did Tim's show last night at Seagate, and I got home and I was just like, I don't know why, but I'm sad. Like I don't feel good. Like I don't feel bad, but I feel very like indifferent. And I think this job also does that too, because like, I don't know if you do, but like I give myself a lot of expectations, and like when those don't get met, like I am just fucking internally crushed. Yeah.
It's that is something that I feel like the pandemic hit at like the exact right time for me, because I'd gotten to a point where I was toxically in my head about my comedy and about my writing, and the like pandemic sort of forced me to disengage from like all of it.
You had to like come up with like coping mechanisms of like you're spinning wheels. Yeah.
And when I finally got back into it, I was just like, man, this is fine. Like it felt like when I started doing it, and you do that thing where you show up to open mics and you show up to shows, and even if they go wretched.
Yeah.
You're like, man, this was fun.
Yeah.
Like it got me back to that.
Enjoying it
where
again.
I totally still have nights where it's that.
Yeah.
Where it's, oh man, this didn't go as well as I wanted it to, and I feel like crap about it, but it has definitely shifted me back to a point where it's like, yeah, but like at least you got to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
at least you were the one up there with the
so
microphone.
was great.
Yeah.
Like it was like this was fun.
Yeah.
Like it's dumb. Like why didn't they laugh at this?
Yeah.
Like sort
Yeah.
of thing. It's more.
It did good at this spot. Why didn't it do?
Yeah.
Like, that's my biggest issue right now is like molding my jokes where I can kind of do them at the club and in a bar setting. Because what I find is a lot of my jokes, they work when it's a comedy setting. But the problem is like making it work in the
when people
Wilmington
aren't
bar
ready for
scene.
comedy.
Yeah.
Like
and they're
making-
talking and the fucking game's on. It's like,
yeah.
you know, look at no up here. Like I drove a fucking hour to do this, and I got to watch George get mad at the fucking Georgia game. You know, like
No, I understand. That's frustrating.
And I'm not even like a team sport guy, so like I don't even have comebacks or like I can't even really throw shots at them. Like nobody cares about the fucking field goal, dude. I'm up here. Let me tell you about my VR porn.
Yeah. And especially in like those instances, it always feels like it's not worth it to engage.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, because now you're just now I'm feeding into the bullshit he's already doing.
Right. I feel like bar shows teach you where that line is as far as like if you're doing stand up, if you're doing comedy, there's a part of it where it's like you have to address the room. You have to address what's going on in the room.
Yep.
But bar shows teach you where that boundary is. Like where is
Don't full
where
on
is
attack
that
people.
table that I shouldn't talk to?
Yeah.
Like who is this person that I'm about to engage with and it's going to screw the whole set.
Yep.
Like it's very fun teaches you to pick your battles.
Yeah.
Because it's so rewarding to engage with the room and get whatever response you want, but if the room's not engaged with you, then it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
And that's what, dude.
You have to be careful which ones you.
Last night's show, because everybody got 10 minutes and there was like 11 or 12 comics. So like you could feel the energy fucking go up. And I thankfully went up first. So I had a full room. Tim waited to start it till, the room was a little bit more packed. So when I was I had everybody there. I got laughs. Set went great. It was good. But then you could see the comics weren't necessarily walking people, but people were just like not engaged anymore because it was fucking 2 hours of
done.
comedy.
Yeah.
And then, I guess the skill I'm trying to work on right now is addressing the room. And then also trying to tie it into my act that I'm bringing that night. That's my biggest issue right now. And I'm warming up to it more. I think what I need to do is just like no safety net, go to Dead Crow. And I have a couple of jokes in mind, but like really start hounding on the crowd work and like being able to engage with people. Not necessarily, it's not like I'm scared to engage with people, but it's just like, I don't want to be that comic that goes up there and then, addresses something and then like doesn't have anything to give back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you don't want I've realized you don't want them to be the one with the last word. It's like a petty argument with your fucking significant other. Like, who's going to give up first? And it's like, then they keep engaging and then you got to learn to like, all right, bitch, like stop. Like now I'm talking, and like getting that confidence. And I'm starting to build that confidence back up because when I got back in August from my schmoyment, when I got back, I had all of those same feelings of like, should I be doing this? Like that whole first couple months feeling back. And I thought I was back September where like my confidence, but like I'm just starting to hit my stride again now where like I'm feeling comfortable on stage. I'm not necessarily worried about people firing back. I can be in the room and like do comedy, not necessarily like, I have a clone of Willie and I made a dildo, like doing that joke.
Yeah.
Like a fucking, one of those old like apothecary and snake oil salesmen, you know, like trying to like push off these fucking essential oils.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you're thinking more towards Raleigh. You're gonna try and go south to like South Carolina.
No, I think that we're looking sort of north.
Oh,
right now. I
okay.
like Philly.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So I like that
you
area.
fucking killers need to get out of here so I can get some room to stretch my
Yeah, there you
legs
go.
and start booking these shows. Get the fuck out of here. You know? No, that's cool though, because it seems like everybody. That's the thing. Is like, I shouldn't say that's the thing. I've only seen 2 other people go, and it was Julia and Matt, and they went up to New York. I haven't seen them since, but they've been hopefully killing it up there.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. I think I lucked out too. Like, I can't even imagine what like being a comic in like Utah would be like. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like, we're gonna do
show
like drive-in shows. Like, how does that even? How does that work?
Comedians out of the Midwest, who make it that's God tier.
Yeah.
Like stuff, right?
Yeah.
There. It's just,
Have you ever put on corn oil before on your tractor? And it's like, I don't even know if that's. I don't know where this goes.
Just the concept of the distance between cities there. It's like I hate living here and having to travel a couple of hours.
And there's a Circle K every 5 minutes.
Like,
you know?
yeah. But the concept of just living anywhere in the Midwest, deciding I'm going to be a comedian and I'm going to drive to my shows is just wild.
Yeah. It's horrifying. It's like gas prices. You got to get a Tesla at that point.
Just the willpower.
Yeah.
The human ability.
Yeah.
To get yourself to do that. Like,
and I feel dumb too, because like my wife gets pissed when I drive the hour, because I'm going back and forth. I try and go. I've had to since cut it back so I could squeeze in some family time. But I was at a point for like 2 weeks doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then any shows I had booked Fridays or Saturdays. So it's almost 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Going to Wilmington.
Yeah.
And it was just putting miles on my car.
Yeah.
Like just miles. Because it's almost exactly 50 miles to and from. So each time was 100 miles. So like I've been putting, I think just in the last 4 months, I've put like 5,000 miles on my car. Because I also took a trip to Jersey, which was a fun, crisp 500 miles to and from.
Nice.
Well, I do want to thank you for coming on. I hope you had fun. This was a good
Thank
time. I would love to have you back on as soon as possible.
Cool.
I'm gonna try and edit this so it comes out on Monday, so it'll be tomorrow release, and then I'll shoot you stuff tonight. Where can they find you at? You got anything coming up?
Let's see. So coming up, I'm going to be at the Brewers Kettle in Wilmington this coming Friday. We're doing a fundraiser show.
Hell yeah.
For Halfway House in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
So please come out and donate to that.
That's the 8th?
The 8th.
December 9th, because I don't know my days of the week.
Doing that. If you're looking for me on social media, Instagram is the best place to find me. Tyler Took Pictures. I've got a TikTok and I post dumbass shit on it. So, go ahead and find me there. That's just Queer Queen Quips.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But
I had to get rid of my TikTok.
You
I
did?
had to. Yeah, it was too addicting.
I love it so much. I'm fascinated with social media, and I think TikTok is one of my favorites. I was a big Vine person. Thought that was one of the greatest eras of comedy, and I think that TikTok has really picked up where that left off. And some of the funniest people, some of the best creative people I've ever seen.
Casey Frey.
On TikTok.
You know his videos?
Yeah.
Fuck. That dude. When he does and he's dancing with himself in the backyard. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
People used to tag me in that shit all the time because they said I looked like him. I'm like, yo, will you guys stop?
No, could you please?
Yeah.
Could you please? This is too much. Somebody was like, you look like Casey Frey. I'd be like, all right, I'll be dead now.
All right. You guys know where to find me, Nick at Night on Instagram. Please I have a show coming up December 17th at the Crooked Lotus. It is in Sneath Ferry, North Carolina. Much love. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Smash that fucking subscribe button. Rub your hairy little fucking mouse finger or mouse cursor, I guess, all over that subscribe button. Smash it. We need hairy mice. That's why. Again, thank you so much. Love you guys. Peace.